In August 2022, a former OpenAI researcher named Aravind Srinivas launched a startup that critics immediately dismissed as just a wrapper around ChatGPT. 2 years later, that wrapper had raised over $100 million, was processing tens of millions of searches monthly, and had forced Google itself to completely rethink how search works. This is the story of Perplexity, and why the most successful startups often look deceptively simple. Here's the question Aravind kept asking himself while working at OpenAI in 2022. Why should I have to read 5 articles and synthesize the answer myself, when AI can do that for me? It sounds obvious now, but in 2022, this was a radical idea. See, ChatGPT didn't exist yet. GPT-3 was available through an API, but it had serious problems. It hallucinated constantly. It couldn't cite sources, and its knowledge was frozen at whatever date it was trained, so it had no idea what happened yesterday, last week, or last month. Meanwhile, Google search worked perfectly fine for giving you links. But here's what frustrated Aravind. You still had to do all the cognitive work. Click the first article, read it. Click the second article, read that too. Synthesize the information in your head, compare the sources, form a conclusion. For simple questions, this took 5 to 15 minutes. Aravind's insight was brutally simple. Combine the natural language understanding of large language models with the real-time information access of search engines. Let the AI read the articles. Let it synthesize the answer, but unlike ChatGPT, make it show its sources so you can verify everything. He called it an answer engine instead of a search engine. You wouldn't get 10 blue links, you'd get one comprehensive answer with citations. In August 2022, he launched Perplexity with 3 co-founders. 2 months later, ChatGPT went viral and suddenly everyone understood what LLMs could do. The timing was perfect. But here's where things get interesting. Almost immediately, critics started saying, this is just a wrapper. Perplexity is just OpenAI's API plus Bing search, API plus a nice interface. I could build this in a weekend. And you know what? They weren't completely wrong. Perplexity did use OpenAI's models initially. They did use existing search APIs. The core concept was relatively straightforward. A skilled engineer probably could build a basic version in a weekend. But here's what the critics missed. First, nobody else had actually built it. Not OpenAI, not Google, not Microsoft, not the thousands of smart engineers who had access to the exact same tools. Why not? OpenAI was focused on building better foundation models, not consumer applications. They sold API access. They wanted developers to build on top of their models. ChatGPT itself was released as a research preview. They didn't even realize it would go viral. Google had the search infrastructure, and they had large language models. But they had an $80 billion problem. Their entire business model was built on search ads. Giving direct answers would cannibalize the clicks that generated their revenue. They were trapped by the innovator's dilemma. Microsoft eventually added AI to Bing, but they moved slowly. Corporate processes, risk aversion, and competing priorities all got in the way. So why did Aravind see this opportunity when others didn't? This is where his background becomes crucial. He wasn't just some random developer playing with APIs. He did his PhD at Berkeley working on transformers, the architecture that powers ChatGPT. He interned at DeepMind. And critically, he worked at OpenAI, where he saw GPT-3 and early GPT-4 development up close. He saw researchers at OpenAI constantly running into the same problem. They'd ask the model a question, it would give a confident answer, and then they'd have to manually Google it to verify if it was actually true. His aha moment was, why are we manually searching Google to verify what the AI says? Why can't the AI do the searching itself? That insight came from being on the inside, from seeing both the power and the limitations of these models every single day. Second, the I could build this in a weekend crowd missed that execution is everything. Making RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, work reliably is hard. You need to understand which search results to feed the model. You need to break long articles into chunks the model can process. You need to prompt it carefully so it only uses the provided sources and doesn't hallucinate. You need to ensure citations are accurate, that the model doesn't cite source A for a fact that came from source B. And you need to do all of this in under a second because users expect search to be instant. Perplexity spent months optimizing every step of this pipeline. Parallel searches, faster inference, smarter caching, better prompts developed through millions of queries. By 2024, they weren't just a simple wrapper anymore. They had proprietary ranking algorithms, custom query understanding systems, multi-model support, infrastructure serving millions of users, a data flywheel where user queries help them understand what works and improve results. The playbook was classic: start with something that looks simple, then build defensibility through execution, data, and iterative improvement. By early 2023, after ChatGPT exploded, everyone suddenly wanted to build AI search. Microsoft integrated GPT-4 into Bing. Google launched Bard, later renamed Gemini. Startups like U.com raised millions. Everyone was chasing the same opportunity. So how did Perplexity differentiate? Focus on citations. While ChatGPT would confidently hallucinate, Perplexity always showed sources. This built trust. Clean, mobile-first design. Their interface was simpler and faster than Bing's cluttered experience. No ads. Unlike Google and Bing, the experience was purely about getting answers, not showing you sponsored content. Speed of iteration. As a startup, they could ship features weekly while Google shipped quarterly. But most importantly, they had clarity on what they were building. As Aravind put it, Google is a links company. Bing is a links company that added AI. We're an AI company from day one. Our answer is the product, not a means to show you ads. This matters because Google faces a genuine dilemma. Every time they give you a direct answer, they potentially lose ad revenue. Every time Perplexity gives you a direct answer, they're delivering on their core value proposition. Startups often win not because they have better technology, but because they have better incentive alignment with users. But Perplexity's growth created real problems. Publishers started noticing Perplexity was scraping their content, synthesizing comprehensive answers, and users weren't clicking through to the original sources anymore. Forbes and Wired published critical pieces. Journalists asked, if AI can just read our articles and give readers the summary, how do we make money? How do we fund journalism? This touched on an existential question for the entire web. The internet's economics have always worked like this. Publishers create valuable content. Google sends them traffic through search. They monetize that traffic with ads, and this funds more content creation. But AI search breaks this cycle. If the AI reads the content and gives users the answer directly, there's no traffic. No traffic means no ad revenue. No revenue means less content gets created, and less content means the AI has less to synthesize. It's fundamentally unsustainable. Perplexity tried to address this with a publisher's program, revenue sharing with content creators. They emphasized that unlike ChatGPT, they always cite sources. They argued they're making information more accessible, not stealing it. But nobody has truly solved this problem yet. It's the trillion-dollar question for the future of the web. Perplexity also faces the ongoing challenge of competing with Google's distribution. Having a better product isn't enough when your competitor is the default on every browser and phone. Google has 90% market share and unlimited resources. Perplexity has to be 10 times better just to get users to change their behavior. So what does Perplexity's story tell us about where search is heading? First, the era of 10 blue links is ending. Why click through 5 articles when AI can read them for you in 10 seconds? This is a genuine paradigm shift in how humans access information. Second, search is becoming conversational. You don't just ask one question and get results. You have a back-and-forth dialogue. You ask follow-ups. You refine your query. You go deeper. Search becomes stateful. So it remembers your context and adapts to your needs. Third, we're going to see search fragment. Traditional search still works best for buying stuff or navigating to specific sites. But for research and learning, for informational queries, AI search is genuinely better. We might start using different tools for different types of searches. Fourth, personalization becomes possible in ways it never was before. Traditional search gave everyone the same results. AI search can explain quantum physics differently to a PhD physicist versus a curious 10-year-old. Same query, personalized answer based on your expertise and learning style. And fifth, the biggest opportunity might not even be consumer search. It might be enterprise. Companies have information scattered across Slack, Google Docs, Confluence wikis, email threads, and support tickets. Traditional search is terrible at finding and synthesizing this. AI search excels at it, and companies will pay significant money to solve this problem. So what can we learn from Perplexity's story? 1. Timing is everything. Perplexity launched months before ChatGPT went viral. Any earlier, and the technology wouldn't have been ready. Any later, and the market would have been crowded. They caught the wave perfectly. 2. Simple wrappers can be incredibly valuable if they genuinely solve user problems. Every company is wrapping something. Amazon wraps logistics. Stripe wraps payment processors. What matters is whether you create real value. 3. Insider knowledge creates unique insights. Aravin's time at OpenAI showed him exactly what these models could and couldn't do. He saw the opportunity because he lived the problem daily. 4. Execution compounds. Perplexity started simple but built defensibility through speed, data, and iterative improvement. A weekend project and a scaled product are completely different things. 5. Incentive alignment matters more than raw capability. Google has better technology and more resources, but Perplexity can fully commit to direct answers because they don't have an ad business to protect. And 6. The best opportunities often look obvious in hindsight. In 2022, combining LLMs with search seemed straightforward to critics. But if it was so obvious, why didn't anyone else do it? The question of whether Perplexity will successfully compete with Google long-term remains unanswered. Maybe they carve out a sustainable niche. Maybe Google's distribution moat proves insurmountable. Maybe they get acquired, maybe they pivot to enterprise and build a massive business there. But regardless of what happens to Perplexity specifically, they've already changed search forever. They proved the model works. They forced Google to innovate faster. And they showed that even in a market dominated by the biggest tech companies in the world, there's still room for a small startup with a clear insight and great execution. Sometimes the most valuable companies start as just a wrapper. The question is, what are you wrapping, and does it genuinely make people's lives better? That's the Perplexity story. If you enjoyed this startup story, let me know in the comments which company you'd like me to cover next. Subscribe for more deep dives into how the world's most successful companies were built.